Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton from EMS Now. I'm here at Apex 2012 in San Diego, and we've got a little round table here, and we're going to discuss Central and South America, the kind of opportunities down there for contract manufacturing, but obviously also for suppliers. I've got a very capable group with me. I have Brian Smith from DEC, I have John Burke from Zollner, and I have Jeff Timms from SIPLACE. All guys that have kind of businesses with global footprints. If I can start with you, John, because you are the contract manufacturer of the group, the customer to all these people. The kind of headlines we've been seeing recently about Brazil relate to Foxconn being down there partially to deliver Apple products, to do with the tariffs perhaps. How do you see that as a trend? Do you think we'll see a EMS footprint there similar to we've seen in other regions in the world, or do you think it's just kind of local for local?
I think the answer is maybe. I think if your end market is in that country or in that particular geographic location, we could see that kind of trend. In general, though, I think any company moving down there needs to make sure they've got the full soup to nuts supply chain model organized in terms of logistics, because I don't actually know that country too well, but I can imagine unless there's a good supply chain there, they're going to have to make sure they put the infrastructure in place to achieve that.
Yeah, and I guess with any supply chain, you're only as strong as the weakest link in that, and that's where the risk and the danger is.
And if it breaks, you break.
You're in trouble. And the Zollner model's been, you have a repeated supply chain kind of around the world. That seems to work pretty well for you.
Yes, we do. The Central Corporation has a very strong supply chain team. We have a global supply chain team, and what we do is leverage that from the local companies.
Right.
So we can leverage it locally. If we need some support, we'll go global.
Yeah.
It's a very, very strong model, very successful. Been going on since '65. So.
Yeah. Okay. And just getting back to South America, Brian, with you guys. Obviously, when you see when you see your customers going there, there's a requirement to be there. What's kind of unique in the Brazil situation? Is it different to other markets, or is it just a question of being there, having the support?
Well, it's different politically, certainly, because they're starting to invest properly. The political situation, I think, is conducive to good business going on down there.
Right.
And as you know, with Brazil, it's typically the type of market where you have to make it there in order to sell it there, particularly for electronics, consumer type items. So we see a lot of incentive by the government to put actual production for the facilities there, and it's been quite successful. And the big news, obviously, the thing that has everybody's attention is the $12 billion investment that Foxconn has announced. The idea that a Taiwanese ODM would invest that kind of money cross-hemisphere and put that kind of money into that thing, it sort of wakes you up as the potential of Brazil. Yeah. And certainly as somebody who's got customers in Brazil, we have no choice but to follow our customers where they go and do our best to support that region. And we think it's a region with a lot of growth potential.
Yeah. And from your point of view, Jeff, you have to follow them there. But do you have to take some risk? Do you have to kind of get there first? Do you have to kind of set out the footprint ready for them? Or?
You do. I mean, it's a market that on the one sense is quite mature, on the other sense is quite fresh and young. And if you expect to do any business in that country without having the infrastructure to support it, you will fail. Yeah. There's no question. And when you combine that with the complexity of the import regulations and the tax requirements, it can be a complicated market within which to work. Yeah. But if you take care of that, if you put the effort into understanding that on the front end, and you put the infrastructure in place, it's going to be a very good market for us.
Yeah. Okay. And just coming back to what Zollner do, you have a global footprint now in California, a very, very strong footprint in Europe, and a strong footprint in Asia as well. How important is it to you that your suppliers' footprints reflect your footprint as a business?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important. We rely heavily on our suppliers for support on the equipment. Obviously, supply chain, it's a given. Because of the nature of what we build, it's normally low to medium volume, high mix. So a lot of that comes through distribution. So we would expect that infrastructure to be in place.
Okay. A bit closer to home now. Let's kind of investigate Mexico. We're what are we? 25 minutes from the border here.
Yeah, something like that.
So not far, and it's not just about shopping in Tijuana. There's there's more to Mexico than that. What I'm kind of curious about is why Mexico hasn't been as successful as it possibly could be. We've seen some benchmarking stuff with respect to labour costs and actually real labour costs with all the added infrastructure issues and stuff put in, and it makes Mexico look really competitive. Brian, perhaps starting with you, do you think there's a reason it's underperformed, and do you think we're going to see that turn around? Do you think we're going to see some improvement there?
Well, I think when China opened up early in the last decade, you saw everybody go there for cost reasons, and they thought they could find some sort of a savings there. The heavier stuff, the mid-range volume stuff tended to stay in this hemisphere just because of logistics and supply chain issues. But Mexico stands a chance to come back and earn some of that business back. You can see now with labor rates going up in China, certainly cost of oil's not gone down recently. There's certainly some desire for American-based companies to have their stuff made more locally, closer where the end customer is. And Mexico stands to gain, but there's some political issues there, and there's some violence issues there, and it's got a lot of people scared off. So I think there's potential there, but it could be limited by their own behaviors at this point.
Well, it's interesting, and we talk about their behavior. I watched some political discussion on that where there was a guy from Mexico, and he said, actually, you criticize us in terms of our violence and all those kind of issues, and obviously the drug issue. And they said, you try living next door to the largest cocaine addict on the planet. And that's kind of the situation they're in with the US. It's the market's insane. What about from your point of view, Jeff? What are you seeing down there in terms of trends, in terms of what they're demanding from you guys? Are they wanting to manufacture more leanly, or are they just leveraging the low-cost model?
Well, I think there's two aspects of the Mexican market that are rather unique. One is, unlike Brazil, there isn't a real strong local entrepreneurial base.
Okay.
Right? So everybody who's there is from someplace else. Almost everybody. Whereas by contrast in Brazil, we have a lot of very smart engineers who've gone off on their own, they've started companies, so you have a wider range of companies in Brazil, right? So if you look at that from the Mexico perspective, it really comes down to cost and quality.
Yeah.
So just in the last 8 months or so, I've seen several very credible reports that indicate Mexico will be at or near cost parity for our type of manufacturing by 2015.
Okay.
So if that takes place, you're going to see these larger corporations investing very heavily.
Yeah.
And I think Mexico is going to have quite a future for this industry.
Okay. Okay. And from your point of view, not just as GM of Zollner, but also someone who's been in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley for the last 12 years in different businesses. How does Mexico look from a California standpoint, from the point of view of an opportunity for you to manufacture there, but also from an opportunity for Californian companies to buy there?
Actually, Mexico looks very good in parts.
Right.
Depending on the geographic area.
Okay.
If we go back to the late 90s, there was huge investment made by some of the tier 1 EMS companies. And unfortunately, most of those products that was targeted for, they were telecommunications related. And of course, we had the downturn in 2001, it got hit. We've now had the 2007 to 2008 crisis.
Yeah.
I think Mexico will come back.
Yeah.
I truly think it will come back. It's got an educated workforce, they've got some great universities down there.
Right.
And it's just a question of time.
And it's interesting what you said about the business. Do you think one of the keys to success for a company with a global footprint, looking at somewhere like a low-cost region, is putting the right business in the right place? Which business should be in China, which business should be in Europe?
Absolutely, because if you look at the North American market, there are products being made in China which honestly should never be there.
Yeah.
They should be on the North American continent, and they should be shipped locally, because they're all going to US-based customers.
Okay. Last question to wrap up, quick kind of one-word answer. Any other surprises for us in South America? Any countries that we should be keeping an eye on beyond Brazil? Right.
One thing you may not have heard about is that Argentina has actually set up their own free trade zone in the very southern tip of Argentina.
Right.
And there's actually a nice little customer base there that's developed there. So one-word answer, Argentina.
Okay.
I echo the same thing. Argentina.
Okay. Infrastructure going in down there from you two guys? Or?
Well, we have a support base. We obviously don't make equipment anywhere near there, but we have people to support the equipment.
Okay.
And
we have a partner distributor rep
down there
organization in Argentina as well.
Okay. What do you think?
I honestly don't know. I'd heard about it. I also heard it's near the Antarctic Circle.
Well,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
Well, and they have very good Malbecs.
I've been in California 12 years now, so maybe go take a look.
There you go. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for your insight. I've really enjoyed that, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.